What is up, everybody? This is General Spear here. Welcome to a brand new episode here on my channel, including a brand new playlist. We're going with art shenanigans, basically. And we are here in Photoshop. I am actually testing out my, I've done a lot of testing yesterday, but this is my new Wacom tablet. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you will have followed the setup and whatnot. If you want to know my Instagram, it's CS Artist, or no, not CS Artist, C Spear Artist, and you should be able to follow me on there and follow all of the art. But I thought I'd take something a little bit different direction other than video games and bring some art to the channel, because I know some people have been asking that I do some videos and whatnot on that. At least some friends that I talked to, and rather than restarting starting a new channel, I thought I'd go ahead and decide to incorporate some of my life with art, with this channel. So hopefully, it'll be a multimedia complex thing, whatever. But in any case, we are going to actually draw a video game character. Well, actually, when I say we draw a video game character, I say we draw a fusion character. What I mean by that is we're going to start off with actually drawing, eventually, the base layout for Master Chief, specifically sporting his Halo 4 Spartan Mark 6 armor. But we're going to be doing something different with that, and we're actually going to be creating a different character out of that and making him into what is going to be known as Spartan Rex. Otherwise, and basically what that is doing is that's taking Captain Rex from the Star Wars Clone Wars series, and we're going to fuse that with kind of the Halo theme. So we'll have eventually what will overall be the Halo 4 Spartan Mark 6 armor, that will include painted details from Captain Rex's color schemes, as well as like maybe a pauldron and maybe a comma somewhere, dual-wielding pistols and all that. But the first thing that we need to do is actually work on the body, and that is what we're going to do today. As you can see, I already have kind of laid out here the overall kind of template that we're going with. We have 8 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sections there. Of course, we have the head for this section here, the chest, ribs, hips, fingertips, knees, and feet down here. I already got it on one layer. We're actually going to go ahead and create another layer right now. There we go. I think we're still recording. I hope we are. This is my first time testing this out, so we will see how this goes. So we get a new layer, and because eventually we're going to fade this background, or delete it altogether eventually. And we're going to go ahead and actually begin drawing out the head. Now, just basic shapes right now. If you want to follow along, that's completely fine. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, I am in the default Essentials view. If you want to know how to switch that up or switch to any other view, you go to Window up here. You go to, is it Workspace? Yeah, Workspace and Essentials. You got 3D, you got graphic and web, motion, painting, photography. I'm in Essentials because that is kind of like Adobe's illustration mode, even though they seem to have gotten rid of it, which I'm kind of frustrated with, that they got rid of the illustration mode, which is a really cool mode. So we're going to begin here, and we're going to draw this character in 3/4 view. So that means we got a line here, kind of acting as his spine, so to speak. And given that this is kind of mimicking the body of Chief, it's probably going to be more of a superhero. But forgive me as I get to a reference point here. It does go lower than that. Okay. Oops, daisies. See, even artists make mistakes. There we go. All right. So, um, I'm using my reference here, and it's actually probably helpful if we draw the neck out. So he's going to kind of resemble that of like a superhero character, because Chief, is pretty much a super soldier. Um, and a lot of people that don't know the Halo series, don't know that Chief is, if you were to come across Chief in real life, he is roughly about 7 feet tall, 7.5 feet tall, somewhere in that margin. Big, big soldier. So he'd be quite menacing as well as pretty fantastic in real life. Um, the good thing also with superheroes is that you don't need these to be completely in proportion. I mean, proportion, of course, in the shapes that are next to each other, but you don't need them to be exactly like how you see them in real life. These are, for all intents and purposes, for the most part, fantasies. I mean, there's there are people around the world that kind of look like this, kind of that super soldier, super body sculpted build and whatnot. But and if you're one of those people out there, I envy you because you are amazing. Um, but everybody's amazing in their own shape. Kind of working on the triceps and the biceps right here, kind of trying to get that all lined out. Got the hips down here, which means that the crotch area is going to go somewhere down here. And contrary to popular belief, when you draw out the ribs, there's actually kind of, and this happens on women too, is that there's kind of a little. Let me see if I can zoom in here. I'll better explain it here. There's kind of a little. Come on. There we go. So we have the chest here, and there's a little lip that kind of sticks out there and kind of trails down. And then the abs kind of fall along here. I'm probably not going to have him this curved. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and erase that. But essentially what it is we have this shape. Let me get my timer up here again. We have this shape that basically, here's the ribs. In fact, I'm going to just go ahead and do this. Because the ribs kind of taper into the ab section here. It's kind of a three-tier taper. Here's one tier with the chest or the pectoral muscles, basically. And then we have the ribs here, which kind of taper down, like they go out and down, like so. And then the abs, it's a little odd in the back here because it's been a while since I've drawn humans in full form. But in the front here, it kind of is almost a third tier kind of setup coming out of the rib cage here. It's really interesting. So we have that. And don't worry about all these jagged lines. We'll clean those up right so. And instead of him actually looking kind of static with his arms, like, just having straight down and whatnot, and all of that, we're actually going to have his arms doing something. And we're actually going to draw kind of this skeletal frame of that in. But we're not going to actually draw what he's holding, and it will eventually be the is it the MAA? No, what is it called again? The MA5C rifle, or the MA5 rifle, basically from Halo. He'll be holding that I think it'll be a nice addition there. But we're gonna put his elbow about there, and we're gonna put his other elbow. If we could draw a line out here, about there. Yeah, I think that'll work, and we can tweak that around just in case. Um, I think that will be good. And then we get kind of the form of his elbow here. And actually, I take this back. We're actually not going to put his elbow there. We're actually going to move it up because we are in 3/4 view and we're kind of looking up at Chief. We're actually going to move his elbow up just a little bit, so that way with the forearm. It's alright if we do basic shapes here. So we have the fingertips here. And a good way for measuring hands, let me move out a little bit. Hands, for measurement purposes, go from the bottom of the chin, and this is generically, this is not exact for everybody, but this is generic. Hands go from the bottom of the chin to the hairline up here. That is how big your hands are, right there. So actually what we're going to go ahead and do is take this lasso. So as you can see, I got kind of close on my measurement with this one, but we're going to go with this guy right here. So, go back to my paintbrush where I can delete those later. Come on. Why isn't this... Hello? Well, this is a problem. Why isn't my button working? Am I on white for some reason? I don't understand this. Well, guys, this is annoying. Maybe I need to undo a few things. Now can I... There we go. Got it. Okay. Figured it out. But with this hand, it's not going to be a complete... Like, he's going to be clutching the rifle, so it's not going to be a full hand like that. It's not going to be a full one, but we do want to show... Like, if I draw the hand there, and the fingers are maybe to about here, that means this circle here is his palm, and that's what we want to replicate there. So we got that. Got kind of a lopsided bump for the thumb, which we'll fill in later. And then his fingers, we want his trigger finger and his middle finger, or his index and his middle, to kind of come out there. And his ring and pinky finger can go right there. It's not exact shapes, but we just are blocking kind of the generic shapes in right now. That's kind of what we want at this point in time. If you're going to go for the fingers outright, by all means do so. But for those that are following along, we're just going to go for the generic shape at the moment. There's going to be a little bit of a dip here. And of course, I can fill this out on another layer and not necessarily have to worry about that. And you may wonder why I'm drawing in the muscles. It actually helps kind of see where not only the form is, but also just the bodily proportions. And we're actually going to bulge this out just a little bit because he is bringing his arm muscles up, and the weapon, of course, you know, it's for Chief, it's probably no problem because he is a super soldier. But I want to show that there is some weight to it. So his tricep here and his bicep here are going to be a little bit more flexed than you would normally in a hanging down position, and that's one of the things that we're going to be concerning ourselves with is thinking about the shape of what goes into this. So we got his head here, got his neck here, we got his muscles on his shoulders here. Kind of just filling it out. And he's looking actually pretty good up top. Now I'm going to go to my reference again. And this time we're going to fill in the... actually, we're going to work a little bit more on the arm here. Kind of flare that out just a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. This back arm, I'm only going to draw maybe like the bicep or part of the bicep for right now because it will eventually be that this arm is hidden behind the profile of the rifle. For, of course, the whole 3D effect in that aspect, because you wouldn't have this arm in front of the rifle in an actual shot. But we're just going to draw kind of the basic, kind of just the basic shape of what we're trying to do. And I don't know exactly where the rifle is going to end up with respect to the hand. I have to look at shots and pictures of Chief to see where his hands line up on the rifle. But for right now, we're just going to leave that profile and continue on to the hips and the legs. And I think we'll call this particular episode a go, basically. And what we're going to do, and actually this is where I needed the reference photo because this was a little problematic. This section here, it tapers normally on a front view pose. But on a 3/4 view of what we're drawing right now, this side right here is actually more straight, and this section here is more tapered than normal. So we're going to bring in the rib cage there, and we're going to kind of go behind the arm here and begin to taper down, and we're actually going to taper out in this section here because we're going to get ready to draw in the hips. And same with this section over here, and actually this section here is ends a little much. And actually we might take this wider a little bit. Chief without his armor is kind of a lean soldier, leaner than what people would expect. But there still is some musculature there that we want to get in here, and we're going to take this out here. Actually, take that back. We're going to go ahead and do the form here. Kind of filling in this section here. And it's okay if it's not perfect at the moment, because we're going to get to the actual blocking in of muscles very soon. We're going to kind of taper out for the hips. And do that. And then this, we're going to leave room for the beginning of his legs, basically. More specifically, his thighs. Kind of follow that line up just to make sure that everything is copacetic. It looks copacetic so far. I like how that is, how that's coming. It's very sketchy, but it's also still very proportional, and whatnot. So I'm very pleased with how that is going so far. Now back to my reference here. Okay. Just looking at the what he's got. Okay, what this person has done. we're copying the form, but we're going to be doing a lot of different things with it. So just his thigh and his knees. His first knee is going to come out a little past center because I want it to flare out towards the audience. So his knee is going to go here. And believe it or not, at least in this scenario, the knees and the hands, or at least the palms, are roughly the same size. The knee is about a little bigger. We're going to do that. And it's kind of this the thigh here is kind of an oblong cone in a way. Just like that. Okay. And then the other one here. This is also an oblong cone, or a cone-like shape. And I say a cone because even though it doesn't have a point, it alludes to a point that maybe will, kind of end up in the knee kind of deal. And the thigh here, we're actually going to begin a little bit below the knee. I botched that a little bit. Oh, I love my Wacom tablet so much. Or Wacom monitor, I should say. It's not technically a tablet, it is a monitor. That's fine for right now. I can fix that later. And then the calves. This front one is going to flare out a little bit. As you do. Remember, this is Extreme Super Soldier. So it's okay if they flare out like this. And of course, we can fix this later with more blocking. That shape does not look quite right. We're going to go ahead and flare a little bit more on this side, inward towards the leg. Or towards the center of the leg, I should say. And that looks a little bit better. That's tolerable. And we're going to actually straighten this out. Yeah, that's better. And then the feet. Kind of outward towards you in a way. Of course, the feet will lead right into the person, and I think the feet are just a little wide, just a little bit wide. That's a little bit better. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot better. So I think for these videos will air, now that I'm thinking about it and talking to you and whatnot, these videos will air every Friday? Or most Fridays. Yeah, every Friday we'll do that. However, there will not be a video next week, as I am in the midst, basically, of getting married. And that Friday is the day before the wedding itself. So there will not be a video that is uploaded that day. The whole next week is going to be a little bit sporadic in general with recordings, but I hope you guys understand and appreciate that, at least I'm getting something out to you. Alright, so we have the shin here. I might play around with this a little off camera, just to make sure that I get the shape the way I want it. But we're going to have this foot actually just a little bit back. Because, and actually it's a little too long. There we go. And that's pretty good. I'll play around with that off camera and everything. But that's pretty good for all intents and purposes. I think what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to take and just kind of do a rough outline. And like I said, this area is subject to change because I need to look at photos of what Chief's arm and hand here are doing. And of course, all of this will be, behind the weapon itself. But at least this gives us kind of an idea, a base to work with. And of course, the weapon will go, right in there somewhere. But that is for a later video. But that, ladies and gents, if you've been following along, has been kind of the first part, if you will, of the Spartan Rex drawing. And yes, before anybody asks, there will be eventually poster prints on this. And those will be available on my Etsy shop in some form, one way or another. But this kind of is the start, if you will, and allows for some nice stuff, basically. As far as drawing goes, and I've wanted to share my drawing skills and techniques with you guys for a long time. For those that have been asking about it, especially in private messages and whatnot, you get your wish. You get your wish. But thank you all for watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you all learned something. For any of you artists out there, feel free to go along and have fun with this. But thank you all for watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to Hulk smash that like button. Come in the comment section below if you're new. Do not forget to subscribe. And as always, may the force be ever